Chernobyl. The perfect setting for a first-person, post-apocalyptic survival horror game. Well, that's exactly the journey we're going to take, so welcome to MAT5 Reviews and join me through the radiated wastelands of S.T.A.L.K.E.R, Shadow of Chernobyl. Set in a fictional timeline in which a second nuclear event has occurred in the area, resulting in a radioactive wasteland filled with demented mutants, dilapidated environments, and bizarre unnatural encounters that the remaining humans in the area must overcome to survive. Taking place within The Zone, you play as a stalker, which is a name given to someone who is scavenging the wasteland illegally to discover unusual artifacts and other valuable loot. You awaken with amnesia after an incident has left you mortally wounded, until a black market dealer took you in and ends up reviving you. Left with only a tattoo resulting in you being dubbed the Marked One, and your PDA with Kill S.T.A.L.K.E.R in your to-do list, you venture off into the wasteland to complete your mission. And just say, hey, don't blame me, the PDA told me to do it. Shadow of Chernobyl was released way back in 2007, but surprisingly most of the game still holds up well today. Mechanically solid, atmospheric, and still lots of fun to play, with a few hiccups here and there along the way. Visually, the game does show its age at times, especially in its stiff and often glitchy character animations, but in areas such as dark, ambient lit environments, the game can still look pretty damn good. Also, Chernobyl itself is very atmospheric, with large desolate areas filled with bleak views of degradation towards flora and fauna. It's so damn beautiful. The controls are what you come to expect from a first-person shooter, and the game also features scavenging and RPG elements such as customizing your attributes with a variety of bizarre artifacts and outfits, being able to trade goods with pretty much anybody, and having a very strict carry limit. S.T.A.L.K.E.R isn't really a looting game though. Sure, there is a lot of loot around, but you can never carry that much at any one time, since anything from bullets to bread can weigh you down. The game also features more hardcore elements such as easy deaths, weapon degradation, inaccurate and jamming weapons, and no fast travel. Once you've reached a certain carry capacity, your stamina bar will decrease rapidly, making on-foot travel a very long and tiresome task, especially in a game that requires a lot of backtracking. Since S.T.A.L.K.E.R features some very hardcore elements, I honestly would have liked to have seen even more elements such as strict eating, drinking, and sleep mechanics to really sell it as a complete hardcore game. The gunplay is reasonably solid and what you would come to expect from a first-person shooter, and feels way more responsive than a game like Fallout 3. I also enjoyed the variety of weapons and ammunition you discover throughout the game, but since you can't carry much, you usually only ever have one or two weapons at a time. But what I really like about Shadow of Chernobyl is how alive the world feels. Not that it has really interesting characters or anything, but it feels like there's a lot going on in the area without any involvement from the player. Random gunfights, animal attacks, groups sitting around the campfire rocking out a tune or two, even the side missions you undertake throughout the game can eventually carry on and end if you don't get to them in time, and also you can fail them very easily. But even if you avoided these side missions, the main story is still hours and hours long, so there is plenty of content to keep you busy for a long time, especially with all that walking. Since the area is filled with radiation, you will encounter a lot of mutated creatures, especially in the more darker, more enclosed areas of the game, which offers a surprisingly good horror vibe that breaks up the action and exploration. And this is horror before jump scares were the major, so atmosphere and creepy noises are what scare you and keep you on edge. With all this said, I did have issues with the game. Most of the main and side quests are mostly made up of fetch missions, which do grow old pretty bloody quickly. And since you have to do a lot of fetching and returning, you will be doing a lot of tiresome walking. Enemy AI is pretty simplistic, often charging you or standing around in the open waiting to be headshot, if you can manage one anyway. It's just not quite up to today's standards. And finally, story-wise, I just couldn't get into what was going on throughout the game. Maybe I just had a hard time understanding what's going on since I'm not really a huge fan of mostly text-only conversation, or just the characters weren't that interesting to listen to. But in the end, S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl still holds up well 8 years on as a solid and satisfying first-person shooter with RPG and scavenging elements, featuring atmospheric locations with the occasional mutant and horror vibe. Some aspects, however, manage to show its age, from lackluster AI, buggy animations, fetch quests, and lots of walking. So in the end, I have to give S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl a 7 out of 10. Due to some aging mechanics and visuals, the game could put off gamers these days, since there has been a lot of excellent games of the genre since. But without Shadow of Chernobyl, we probably wouldn't have many of the great gameplay mechanics and elements we enjoy and take for granted today. If you're looking for a more hardcore, down-to-earth, gritty, semi-open world FPS with RPG, horror, and looting elements, then look no further than the original S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Just to let you guys know, I really want to check out the next 2 S.T.A.L.K.E.R games as well, so keep an eye out for those. Also, I do know that these games can be modded to fix bugs and improve visuals, but I feel like I won't be giving you my honest opinion if I used them. And thank you very much for watching my review of S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl. If you liked this video, don't forget to check out these other great videos, and I hope to see you subscribe and return to M8T5 Reviews.